Okay. Sure, I haven't missed any. Just gives a wee sound check, guys, if you can. Oh, put the muscle on my back. Reaching down. Turn the light on. Hello, Mick and Barb G lovers. Is the sound okay? Thumbs up if there's a good sounds okay. Thank you so much. Kitty Gray, hey, thank you for coming on. Just gonna let you roll in, say hello to each other. Usual Waltons things that you do. Cheers, Jake. Just coming on to correct something. I don't like making mistakes. So that's why the live's here. Like, you know what I mean, to be honest with you. So I'll wait till you all come in. Well, hello, Ferry, hello. Thank you, Jake. I need to get my hair cut, man. I'm terrible at it. I've wore a baseball cap all my life. I really have, since I've been a wee boy. It's just part of freedom, Dad, you know. All good with sound. Thank you, sir. A wee bit bungers, a bit late tonight. Thanks for going to Ballymena. It showed me what was happening, as I don't have many socials. No problem, Katie. Well, stay tuned. There might be more coming from there, as far as like an understanding of what was going on, you know. So I'm just waiting. Sort of another couple of phone calls, and yeah, I'm not going to say too much. So, you know, to be honest with you, I never know what I'm doing. To be honest with you, like, guys, it's not like everything's set out perfectly. Freedom Dad and narrative story here. Oh, mate, good to see you. Good to see you, mate. Right so far. Good lad. But yeah, it was good to see all TikTokers not there. It was good to see that kind of atmosphere where people are no problem with the cameras and everything's good. And you know, I mean, I'm doing people. I like to think I'm doing a community proud. I'm doing my wee country proud. You know what I mean? And like I say, that you seen the police van or the Land Rover with the camera on it. You know, they go into every single face. You know what I mean? They do. Everybody that was there will be documented, logged on a computer. You know, there's no two ways about it. So Freedom Dad doesn't make any difference. You know, absolutely no difference. You know, like I say, guys, you've got your own right to privacy, and if you don't want yourself to be shown in any camera, then you can walk about with a face covering. You know, that is your right to. You know, like I say, your right to privacy. You know, obviously everywhere you go, there's cameras. You know what I mean? You're always on camera, so you know, Freedom Dad's camera is irrelevant, really. Like, but I think people are starting to understand that now. But obviously, with all the wee bits and pieces I've been dealing with, you know, it doesn't help. You know, when people are saying stuff about you and you're jumping about with a camera, you know, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking, you know, do these people I'm filming them for any other reason? You know what I mean? So obviously, you know, I'm a human being. What can I worry about stuff like that? You know, like I say, I'm not going to go into it. You know what I mean? It's the first time it's ever happened to me. And but like everybody says, it was expected and probably worse to come. You know, so yeah, fun and games, being a patriot, being a citizen journalist, and talking about the issues that the government don't like you talking about. You know, like I say, it's not easy. It can be stressful. You know, I mean, it's not just like I say, the only people I really fear is the government. You know, but you know, anything can go wrong at any time, and anybody can listen to any nonsense, and you just don't know how that could end up. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've got to be careful. You know, like I say, you can imagine, guys. I don't need to tell you guys. You can imagine what it's like doing stuff like this. You know, if it wasn't for my upbringing in children's homes and prisons, you know what I mean, and you know, just no really never being put off, like being game as a badger, you know what I mean? So that helps, and not being afraid of prison, and having a daughter that I know is going to look back on me and think, at least he tried. You know, all that sort of gives you the fire in the belly. And you know, I missed that comment. I don't want to touch the screen, guys, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I'll wait for a few more to come on before I correct. Hello, Freedom Dad. Hello, Talger. Do you enjoy what you do? I do. But I'm trying to get other people to do it, other citizen journalists, get other people up. It's just to show people that this is like citizen journalists. We can report on our own communities, to our own community. We don't need mainstream media. And where is Glenn, Mr. X Kane? He's in his best behaviour right now, so he's not allowed to go to any demos, or he'll just get jailed. This is the kind of things they do, you know what I mean? So I had a lovely walk this evening, beautiful day. Yes, it was beautiful night. So yeah, like I say, guys, it's I enjoy bringing my experience of what I've seen and learnt in England and Scotland, and bringing it to Northern Ireland to to help my community, to show my community how to protect themselves and defend themselves with a camera, holding everybody accountable, you know what I mean? And just, it's there to protect us, it's there to protect us, the camera. And it's there to document what's going on in life in Northern Ireland, I don't think this stuff shouldn't be ignored. I don't want this stuff going into the past with no footage, So it's like I say, it's something we never seen coming. It's like nobody, we would never have seen this. Feeling that you should not have to explain yourself about your past. I know that, but I've got no problems with that. I've got no problems with that. We need to be transparent and honest, and anything that comes at me, like I say, I can explain everything. You always give me 24 hours. Don't crucify me, man. You know what I mean? I'm a good person. Like I say, I haven't done anything bad, anybody good, and I keep saying that. You know what I mean? And I've had a roller coaster of a life. I don't know what else to say. I'm quite happy talking about it and letting you know who I am. Like I said, everybody around me has been around me since I've been a wee boy, going through life. You know what I mean? I can't say anything. I would just get called out on it. Like I say, I've held my head up everywhere I went and made my country proud whenever I've been out of the country. So, I don't know what else to say. It is what it is. But anyway, 51 years in, guys will watch this later. I just want to say I've made a mistake tonight by saying it was Peter Robinson's son. Okay, that was the information given to me because he's a local MP, and I'm still trying to keep up with them all. But at the end of the day, he's well known. He's the local DUP man, as far as I'm aware, and I'm just doing my best. It was a quick moment. I wasn't going to interview him because I don't want to give politicians too much of a hard time right now, because I am freedom dad. I am trying to do things correctly. But, at the end of the day, we still need to ask them questions, and the community were asking me to ask them questions, and, I got misinformation, and I apologise. His name is Gavin Robinson, and he's a local MP, you know what I mean? But, I'm not perfect, like I say. It is live. It is going out really fast. Everything's moving really fast. And, it is one of them things. And, I think we got to allow for little things like that, and I apologise to Gavin, and I apologise to anybody else who might be affected by that mistake, and in future it won't happen. Well, it won't happen again. So, all right, Colin, how you doing, bro? Thank you, John. Thank you for that, John. Like I say, and you don't know what's coming. You don't know what's happening. Just like Ballymena, you've just got to go with it. You know what I mean? And like, I've got to talk about what's being said to me. You know what I mean? That's how it works. Whatever in my head, whatever people are going on to me about, people like during the day when the cameras aren't rolling, when there's no cameras, people talk to me, and it's all the same thing. They're afraid of what might be coming. They're afraid of what they see in England. They're afraid, and it is, they do keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, is Islam, you know what I mean? And, like I say, there is good guys out there as well, but the fear is the way the government are pushing I can't even fucking say it, Islamophobia laws. It's absolutely crazy, and that worries people. The rhetoric coming, what they're seeing, the way the king behaved, and the decorations for Ramadan and all that, it is scaring people. And then they're seeing and hearing lots of stories coming from England and Glasgow, of how things are changing, and then they're watching, like I do as well, and as I brought to my channel, the politicians in Scotland who are being quite racist, you know what I mean? And it all seems to be, a certain demographic, and people are like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? And then whenever you speak out about it, you're called far right and racist. You're not, you're just looking at it logically, and you're thinking, what's going on here? You know what I mean? It's like a group of men, like from a certain demographic and religion, like doing a lot of bad things, and your government are totally ignoring it and going, they're peaceful, they're peaceful, them guys, and you're looking and you're going, what, And then when you complain about it, they go, oh, you're Islamophobia, you're Islamoph, you're Islamophobist or whatever the words. It's a new word, guys. I'm not good with big words, and this is a new word they brought out from nowhere. My understanding of a phobia is an irrational fear of something, like a spider. Who's just, scared of a spider, wee tiny spider that can't bite you. In Britain, spiders can't bite you. You know what I mean? So that's an irrational fear. You know what I mean? So that's what phobia means. You know what I mean? So they're saying like to fear a certain demographic because of the evidence that you see, with Boko Haram and ISIS and all these other, and we see the rhetoric coming out of England and the men that are in the jail and how fucking nuts they are and following the crown to the ladder, and you're thinking to yourself, man, there's nothing wrong with fearing that, guy. This is what people are saying to me. There's nothing wrong with fearing that, So, yeah, definitely, there's nothing wrong with fearing something that's so horrific when you've seen the crimes that's happened to the children, and they're unheard of, never before seen anything like this ever in our societies. Something horrific, And I'll stand by that. If the government want to show me or point out something that was more horrific that's happened to any of our children, obviously I'll unalive a child, but I'm talking about actually going to the torture, guys, So if anybody can say to me, well, here's a situation here where that's worse, show me. Because I'm telling you there's not. I'm telling you what's happened to the children with these men are the most horrific things that's ever happened to our children. That in our lives, and maybe our parents' lives, maybe our great, I don't know how far we can go back, but it's a fear, okay? It's not a spider climbing up a wall, you know what I mean? So yeah, so people are constantly going on about that. They're worrying about the two-tier, how the government don't. Everybody's seen how they attacked all the British guys, all the guys that came out after Southport, how they banged so many people up, and how Stormer was standing there so proud, saying, "Yeah, well, we've locked 300 or something up." You know what I mean? And they let out batter men to put these poor souls in, and then at the same time, we're seeing the Muslim Defence League. There you have anything to do with. We know the English Defence League are long gone, a long time ago. You know what I mean? And he was even talking. It's crazy. It's crazy the way the government behave in this situation. And then, like I say, these men came out. They hunted down British guys. A friend of mine called Captain Britain got beat up along with his father-in-law and his mate by, I think it was 10 or 12 Muslim men who were looking for men that were right wing. I've seen a man get beat in a garden by Muslim men, and a lot of British men got attacked by these Muslim men, and I don't believe there was many of them arrested. I even seen a video of a group of Muslim men that got off, and their lawyer was quite proud to stand outside the court and promote him as being the best lawyer, because look, I even got these guys off, and like everybody's getting done for the exact same thing, I mean, everybody's getting jailed for it, and then all of a sudden there's this group of Muslims all proud as punch because they're not going to jail. So people were watching, everybody's seen that. People are constantly saying to me, they're talking about, that's why I talk about the Manchester report, constantly going on about that. Why have they not been, why are they still coming down? The Stormers want to give everybody 10 years over here for hanging about the street corner when there's a rat on, you know what I mean? So people are like, what? What happened to Ricky Jones? What happened to Manchester too? And so forth. Then we've got the Labour MP who beat the life out of one of his constituents, you know what I mean? And I think he done 2 days in the jail or something and got out, you know what I mean? So that's the problem. That's what everybody's saying here, and it's really, really worrying. You know what I mean? It's almost like the government's been infiltrated. That's what people are saying. People saying they don't represent us, and so yeah. That's it in a nutshell. Guys. I made a mistake tonight, and yeah. That's it. I apologise. I don't like making mistakes, and it's not very often you'll hear that. But yeah, like I say, things are quite fluid, moving fast, and I'm on the spot. But yeah, a lot of people are afraid of mosquitoes. So hi Jake, hi no rats. Colin, if you even know if you want to throw me, I've missed your comments. So if there's anything important you want to say, put it up and I'll catch it now. I'm not going to be on the live long, guys. I'm just popping in to say, yeah, made a mistake there with that one, and I'm correcting it. Do you credit they have the run of the country? Phobia is an irrational fear. If Islamophobia, I would fear I would become Muslim. I'm not Islamophobia, Muslim, or anything others, and irrational fear. I don't want to say too much because I never know what I'm reading out sometimes. So Gavin Robinson, the local MP for Ballybean, came out, and I was informed that he was Peter Robinson's son. You know what I mean? And I run with it, so I apologise. It isn't. You know what I mean? So it was because the UP. You know what I mean? It's sort of yeah. If you're from Northern Ireland, you don't understand. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. But personally, I don't like making mistakes. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I'm not some of this, but still. So, can we get a turnout at the Chimney Corner tomorrow night, please? Like I say, guys, I don't promote these things. I don't have nothing to do with organising them. I go there to report and give the people their sort of a voice if they want to speak and tell us what's going on in their area, why are they coming out like this, what their fears are. That's what I'm there for, to bring it to the rest of the community in Northern Ireland. The ones that are sitting behind their doors are scared to come out because they're going to be getting labelled far-right and racist. And it's just to try and get an understanding and show people, look, these people aren't far-right and racist. You know what I mean? So, yeah. That's all I'm doing, reporting what's going on, trying my best to keep the information flowing, and helping other patriots and TikTokers and YouTubes, and encourage people to keep getting on with it. And this is the way forward. We've got to be our own media. If we're not going to get the right information from the media, we've got to do it ourselves. If our media aren't going to go in and ask the people the questions, are you far right? Are you racist? Why are you out in the street? Then we've got to do it, because like Nolan and that, they're just calling them all far right and racist, you know what I mean? And, totally oblivious of what's going on. It's like they don't care, you know what I mean? And like I say, guys, I'm not, I'm not having a dig at them, but this is what I feel. I feel if a lot of people don't have children, they aren't committed. They don't understand. They don't care. Once they're gone, that's it. They don't leave nothing behind. If they had a daughter, or they had 2 daughters, or 3 daughters, or whatever, then I honestly believe they would change their attitude. They would be worried about leaving this planet in the hands of the government that's here, with the rhetoric of mass immigration and the way they can come in and out. And it was reassuring to hear from Gavin tonight about the borders. Like I say, I haven't seen them, but maybe that's changed since Freedom Dad's been banging on about it. I don't know. Fingers crossed. There is what like I was trying to say in the video. I couldn't really get it out when he assured me, that they were watching our borders, right? Okay, not the Irish border, but he said staying on line, I'm sure, and another boat. So what I imagine then is it will be facial recognition. I reckon we're at that stage now where they don't need to stand out. They can be in a room watching cameras, letting AI look at everybody's faces as they come through. And then if somebody comes up that they think, can hear you, So yeah, I'm maybe just used to seeing them all standing, all there and all the rest of it. And so maybe it's a change time. So I think you would take Nolan, Freedom Dad. Yeah, 100%. I've got no doubt about that. All day long I was listening to him, and I've only listened to him once, and I've thought to myself, I said to these guys I wouldn't do it, so I'm sticking to it, But yeah, like I say, his producer did reach out to me, and like I say, I don't want it. And Freedom Dad doesn't want to go on mainstream media and give them the clicks, you know what I mean? This is about us. This is about patriots. This is about citizen journalists everywhere, helping each other out. And like I say, I would help anybody out. And we're all sort of pulling ranks now and sort of understanding the bigger picture. And we're seeing the kind of damage that's coming and what to watch out for, and sort of have that everybody on the same page where, We don't need to trust each other because nobody's up to anything. You know what I mean? Just everybody on the same page. Everybody wanting to protect our country. Everybody wanting to protect our kids, and just get on with it. You know what I mean? Like I say, nobody's doing anything illegal. Nobody's up to no good. You know. So yeah, we've got nothing to hide. We're open, we're transparent, and yeah, and we're learning. We're learning very very quick because there is people trying to destroy what we're building. Please believe me. It's I don't think anybody that's involved in patriotism and involved in citizen journalism on the right of politics has not come under some sort of attack. And this is what we always say. I was warned, and at the end of the day, I'm going to pass that on. You've got to be ready for whatever, and you've got to be ready to get destroyed or pulled down or whatever. You really do, and you've got to be able to have faith in yourself and trust the people around you, and have faith in your community. But at the same time, it is difficult. It is difficult, and it's just all the TikTokers that you see, like there's no money to be made in this, guys. You're not going to be a millionaire. You know what I mean? The TikTokers are making 2-3p a wee gift, a 1 penny gift. You know what I mean? As far as I'm aware, you know what I mean. So they are doing you a service. You know what I mean? And don't give them a hard time. Always remember, you're on hundreds of cameras. There's cameras everywhere. There's cameras everywhere. And then you always have the Land Rover with the eye that comes up. It comes right up, and it's you know what I mean? They can see freckles on your face. They can see the color of your eyes. You know what I mean? They can read the tattoos on your arms. Every single individual. So don't give the YouTubers and TikTok a hard time, guys. It doesn't make any difference, you know what I mean? Like I always say, you've got your own right to privacy. If you don't want to be seen on camera, then you know what to do, you know what I mean? But personally, be proud of who you are. It's like the old conspiracy theorists, when people were like, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist, and now you can tick them all off. Each conspiracy, you can pick them off as check, 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 check. They were right, you know what I mean? So it's one of them ones, guys. You're on the right side of history, okay? What's happened and what's happening in England and Scotland and Wales and what's happening in Ireland is unprecedented. And you've got every right to be afraid. We're stuck in the middle. And it seems to be things are moving really fast in England negatively. And, you've just got to look. Nobody knows. Nobody knows the numbers, the true numbers of how many people have come in to England in the last 5 or 6 years. You know what I mean? And I don't know. One day the numbers will come out, and then when the numbers come out, you can quickly do sums of the birth rates, you know what I mean? And then you can work out how long the locals will be a minority, and it's not misinformation. Once we get the numbers of how many people they've let into the country that are staying there, then that's whenever you'll be able to do the sums. And this is why they're not giving these numbers out, guys. And that's scary. That the government know what they've done. They know the problems that they've created. They know that they've give their own people an hourglass. It's been turned up, 15, 20 years. And, if not 100% the next generation, so you're talking at least 30, 40 years time, big changes in England, big changes in Parliament, big changes in government, you know what I mean? And it's clear, you need to be stupid, you really would. The government can't say anything about that because you can sit down and do the math, you can see who's there now, you can understand the rhetoric of what they say and how they say things, and you can also see the rhetoric of the politicians and how they speak, like Nigel Farage when he says, oh, we've got to take Islam with us, and if we don't, we're in trouble, and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And there's other stuff that I'm not going to bring out, but like I say, it's the rhetoric of the government, right? Fair enough, it's what we're seeing is horrific. But then on top of that, it's the way the government and the police and the social worker behaved. It's really horrifying. It's horrifying how the government would behave like that. So when we look at that, and then we see Ireland, and we see all the protests, and we see the kids coming out and speaking, to the people, like young girls, and like saying what they're going through, and and stories from of all different women of what's happening. And it's just, there's a reason why there's so many demonstrations in Ireland and so many different areas, and like areas that would never have been touched before. And there's a reason why guys are camping outside and causing problems for construction workers who are trying to build IP. They've got, it's a different world in there because it's the EU, and nobody really knows the truth. Nobody knows the truth. Even AI doesn't know the truth. AI tells me that there's nobody getting bussed in, and then I flick on the old internet, and there's a guy in Ireland filming Afghani men getting out of a minibus with a trailer in the back with all their bags. You know what I mean? So we know there's buses moving men about. We know we've had loads of reports of buses turning up in the early hours in the morning, and they're not tourists like the government. They're trying to say this is what they're trying. This is the rhetoric, because it's all sent down from the top, and it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. You know what I mean? So, you've got like hotels full of men, and they're saying they never bust them in, you know what I mean? So, it's all a bit nuts, and it's scary the way they're talking. So this is why the men and women in Ballybeen are coming out. This is why the men and women in Shannon are coming out. This is why the men and women in Rathcoole, Newton Abbey are coming out. This is why the men and women in East Belfast are coming out. This is why the men and women in the Bangor are coming out. And I could go on, Larne, Portadown, Ballymena, everywhere. They're coming out onto the streets to say enough is enough. And, you won't know this, you know what I mean? Mainstream aren't interested, you know what I mean? They don't want you knowing this. They don't want you to know that Northern Ireland's awake, and they're actually aware of what they've done to their own country, what the mainstream media have done. Silencing everything, not reporting nothing, not going near the grooming gang trials, you know what I mean? It used to be days when they'd all be outside the courts trying to get photographs of the guys coming in, but obviously these guys didn't get remanded. I don't think many of them got remanded, believe it or not. I think they all got bail, because if I remember rightly, the only citizen journalist to capture it was Tommy Robinson, and he asked him, how do you feel about your guilty verdict? Because they'd already been found guilty, and then he got done for that. Remember, he got put in the prison for that, so he did. So that was the only clips that we've had of these men. You got to understand that. When in your history, in our history, have we ever had such high profile men committing crimes like that? And there hasn't been hundreds of fucking photographers and all over the news. Can you understand? So everybody's like gobsmacked at this, gobsmacked at how they behaved, and that's worrying. It's very, very worrying. We're worried about reform getting in. We do believe reform's a new Labour. There's this full of conservatives. If you have to. Oh, and by the way, this was my 601 video. My live was my 601 video, so I'm quite chuffed for that. I hit 600 videos this morning, so I'm really, really chuffed for that. And so anyway. Way back, 500 videos ago, I had been saying about reform and what I thought, because of what I could see, because I could read him like a book, you know what I mean? And then the fact that he's on GB News, the only political leader we've ever had who had his own slot on a mainstream media news broadcaster, that tells you everything, you know what I mean? Let's put it like this. Tommy Robinson can't get on telly. Nick Tononi from UKIP can't even get on telly, any telly. They won't touch him, but there's old Nigel Farage with his own slot on mainstream media. So that should tell you everything you know of what's coming when reform get in the power. And, this is just my opinions for educational and entertainment purposes only. It's just what I see with my eyes and how I read people, and understanding the nitty-gritty of politics. Reform have been set up a wee while ago, everybody. Back at 600 videos ago, I said, all you guys have been here from the start, I said, Labour, this is the last time Labour will ever be in power. That's what I personally believe that. This is the last time. After all this comes out and, people look back and they see how implicit Labour was, how it was every area where Labour were in charge, the grooming gangs were at their most prolific, and the most were covered up. So when that all comes out and people look, like I always say, the past stays still. So you can't fuck about with the past, guys. It stays still. So when you look back at the past, it's going to be very easy to work out what went wrong and who was responsible. So that's why Labour will never get into power again. So the big boys at the top who run everything, they've seen that long before Freedom Dad, and reform's been primed and ready. That's why they pushed out everybody that supported Tommy Robinson. That's why they've said they've went centrist. There's no such thing as centrist in politics. It's either left or right. The left are too brutal and too hard to let a centrist party sit in the centre. The centre's too close to the left, and we know how powerful the left are. So, it's clear what direction Reform are going in. When they say, we will deport whenever we get in, that's from when they get in, that's from when they get in. Everybody that's come in till then are all good, and that's a problem. And, if I was there, I'd be asking Nigel Farage some serious questions, and then you would see the truth. That's why he's not doing any more podcasts, because he's made that many mistakes. He slipped up. So he stopped doing podcasts, because podcasters like me would be asking him the questions that you wouldn't want answered, And I'd be surprised if he deports anybody. He will run with the same rhetoric as Labour. He will call us all far right and racist, and try to shut everybody down so that we are silenced and nobody can say anything bad about them. And they will keep going on pretending to be the right wing party for the people, and the people that aren't on the internet are still watching mainstream media will be fooled by it, because the mainstream media are running with Nigel Farage. Whatever mainstream media pump out to the pure souls that aren't awake, that's how you work everything out. You understand? So the only stuff you're going to get from the mainstream media is the stuff that get the guys in what we call the British deep state want pushed out. And that's where we're going. And like I say, there's going to be another election before 4 years are up. 100%, because they don't want a right-wing party coming up to challenge Reform. So they want to get Reform in. There's nobody going to challenge Reform right now. We know that. And if another party did pop up and everybody started getting, so say, just talk for Tommy Robinson, UKIP, Ben Habib, Rupert Lowe, a couple of other guys, and everybody was getting behind them. Reform would have the election. They wouldn't let that momentum build. They would just go snap election, and Reform would run away with it. And then in 4 years' time, the people that voted for Labour will be voting for Reform, because they're only going to have two options. And I'm talking about everybody that's come into the country that Labour have now give citizenship, people that's come in illegally and all the rest of it, and give them jobs and driver's license. These people, when they're faced with two political parties, they're going to be faced with a right-wing political party that's had enough, and they're going to be faced with Reform. So who do you think the far left and the people that's come into the country illegally are going to vote for? They're going to vote for Reform. It's not rocket science. So there's some serious problems coming for the United Kingdom and England especially. And where we're going with the SNP in Scotland is an absolute nightmare. You know the score there, guys, who they've had in power, who the Labour Party is, and all that, and the rhetoric, the white speeches that they're doing, and standing behind Pakistani flags, telling other Pakistani men that you're going to get in the power, and going to change things. You know what I mean? And I don't know what the rhetoric is of changing things, but I don't want, to be honest with you, whether he's first generation or second generation, I don't want a man who has dual citizenship standing behind a foreign flag, being in a position of power in any of my countries in Great Britain and dictating to anybody, because that's not right. It's not right. Scottish people should be in charge of Scotland. The people that have coming in to get refuge and immigrants and second generation and all that. We've welcomed you in. And then you get a bit of power and you're complaining that everybody's white. That's not happening. That's not right. That's on no level is that right. So, it's important that the Scottish people understand that you've got two prime examples of what can go wrong if you get it wrong, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be run by your own people, Scottish people, born and bred, mothers, fathers, grannies, granddads. Then and they'll be, it's not they're going to be racist or far right. They're going to put the Scottish people first. And that's the most important thing, because the English people aren't being put first any longer. And we can see that. We can see that with the rhetoric with Khan in London. and Labour and the front bench, you see the faces of them women when people talk about the grooming gangs. They get so angry, and you've seen the way they've refused to vote for the grooming gang inquiry, and then all of a sudden, when this report, they're all like, "Oh, we need a," so fake, what I mean? And they're all gone. They know that. They know the hate that they're getting. You see the comments under the Labour parties, all their Labour parties posts on all social medias. They're getting done. They can't even. I don't even know how they will still go on social media. Any one of them, Jess Phillips, any one of them, will put anything up. They're getting slaughtered, and it's not nice. I know that it's not nice. So God knows how they're able to keep going the way they're going. I would hang my head in shame and say, listen, I made a mistake and I'm stepping down, and that's what's going to happen with Labour. They are going to call a snap election, and Reform will be the next political party run in England, and Nigel Farage will be, for a short time, your next Prime Minister. And you can take it to the bank, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's all the problems that we have, and that's what we're seeing, and that's what we're talking about, and that's the word in the street, guys. So go for it. Number 55, we know media ain't doing shit. Their narrative, I'm a Catholic and with absolutely no ambiguity towards Protestants. It's our fucking country. Yes, thank you, mate. Thank you so much. 140 here and less than 77 likes. Hit the like buttons. Yeah, hit the like buttons, guys, if you want. It's no big deal about the like buttons, you know what I mean? You are here, you are leaving comments, and you are listening to Freedom Dad. So thank you so much. If you want to hit the like, you can hit the like, but you know what I mean? I'm just happy that you are on my platform and part of my community. Expat here from Germany, listening in Freedom Dad. Cheers, Jerry. All right, Window Man. Vote block, 40k votes. Yeah, voting is a big problem, Window Man, whenever you're faced with patriots and people who want to protect their children and the country and everything that we know, and then you've got all these guys who are going down a different route and like following the Quran, and some of them are quite extreme, and they want the halal, they want the cousin marriages, they don't like dogs, and there's lots of other things that I can see coming that I can't really say, but I know what direction it's going in. People do know. We can read our history books, and there's an understanding of what normally happens, and it's almost like the government don't think none of us can read, or none of us can look into history, or none of us can question anything. Honestly, it's like they really think we're thick, and I think they're starting to find out that the Northern Irish people are far from thick, and they're actually, I think, very soon they're going to find out the Irish people aren't thick. The best form of defence is attack. Well, it's got to be peaceful, guys. You know what I mean? So anyway, like I say, I'm not here to promote demos and stuff, you know what I mean? But I have to give a shout out because, I will be reporting on it. I've asked the report on it, and that's the demo in the Belfast City Hall, the Time to Rise demo, you know what I mean? So, like I say, it's getting bigger and bigger. There's been a lot of knocks for people, and things have been a wee bit dickery, but this is what happens in the patriot world. And, we just got to keep going and, get through the tear gas, you know what I mean? And so we're just trying to help anybody that's trying to do anything for my daughter. That's where I'm at. Like I say, there's two sides. You're either helping my daughter or you're against my daughter. So anybody that's helping my daughter and going to the trouble to organise demonstrations in their own name and all that, knowing honestly, we're going to go and support them. I'm not going to say too much about the speakers, but guys, I suggest you go. You know what I mean? So there's going to be good speakers there, and it's something you don't want to miss. It's both Protestants and Catholics. Like I say, they have put their rhetoric out about no flags, and it's banners and posters. Like you seen today, like you see at Ballybean there. Like you see in Bangor. You know what I mean? With big signs with what people are wanting to say without saying it, so it's on print. You know what I mean? And you can write your own stuff up. You can say what you want with a placard. Yes, we're all Protestants. We as YouTubers and TikTokers will be letting the world know this is Protestants and Catholics that are standing together. I promise you, you don't need to wave flags. You know what I mean? Because we don't know what way it'll go. One, we get labelled far right every time they see a Union Jack, a red hand Ulster, and a tricolour. They call it far right, racist. So we want to try. Let's try it anyway. And like the girls have asked, let's see how it goes. You know what I mean? And also, we don't know how many of each the Roman Catholic community. It's really difficult for them to come out and show their faces because we don't have masks, and you know, I know the support I get from the Roman Catholic community. And I understand the position that they're in. I understand that it's really difficult in these areas to come out in any way on the right of politics because of the rhetoric of the dissidents and the hardliners with the Islam and the PLO. We understand that. We see the flags that are flying. The Palestinian flags. We see the support that go to the Palestinian counter demos. So we understand it. It is still a very dangerous game in some areas. But what I'm trying to say is, there is Catholics and Protestants there, but there might be an underrepresentation of Catholics. And I don't want that being shown in flags, you know what I mean? Because it's not fair in the Catholic community, because it's not because they don't want to come, it's because they can't come. And that's my personal belief, you know what I mean? And, I'm sorry that's going to upset a few people in these areas, and I understand that, but I've been upsetting you since for the last, I don't know how long. And, at the end of the day, I'm not going to stop upsetting you until you stop behaving in such a way where you're trying to destroy your own country from within for your own personal romanticism of the past. You know what I mean? Yeah, we remember our dead and all the rest of it, and we got no problem with that. But the PLO was a long time ago, and it was, yous were using them, they were using you. You know what I mean? Oh, we're the same. You know what I mean? It's not the same. You know what I mean? Come on, guys. You know what I mean? This is your country. This is Ireland. This is Northern Ireland. Brits out. But the PLO in, you know what I mean? Come on, guys, you know what I mean? So that's all I can do is try and appeal to the other community. Like I say, I know how difficult it is, but to the guys that are controlling things and causing all these problems at the intersections with the Protestants and Catholics, you need to rein it in. You really need to rein it in, because there's a bigger thing going on here, and you are again letting your community down big time, by this, by not coming together. We should be coming together. I'm noticing there's only a matter of time before we have a loyalist area coming out and demonstrating, and a Catholic area coming out and meeting at an intersection and coming together and demonstrating together. That's only a matter of time. So you can either get on board, or you can be shown to see who you truly are. You know what I mean? Because people will start looking at you guys and thinking, what? Pick a side, and that's not the right side. I know the prods, we've had problems with the prods, but this is a different ball game. You know what I mean? Because that's the way we are. We're like, we look at the Irish and we see some of the crimes, and we're like, it doesn't matter if they're Catholics or the Republic of Ireland or nothing like that. They're fucking kids, and we're men, you know what I mean, and women who don't want to see that on anybody, you know what I mean? And yes, we have had times with all sorts of mad stuff that's happened in the past, but the times have changed, guys. So yeah, like I say, these people are coming out on the streets. They're not just coming out because they're racist and far right. They're educated. They're awake. They know the score. It's as simple as that. I can't tell you any better. They are educated. They know their history. They can research stuff and see how things normally go, and they can look back at England at the last 20, 25 years and look at the changes of the prisons and everything else, and how the prisons are being militarized by Islam inside, and how many prison officers are being brutally attacked right now. And it's only a matter of time before a prison officer loses his life in England. There's no two ways about it. And it's just sectarianism, just like we knew in the jails over here, in the Maze and in the Crum, with loyalist prisoners and Republican prisoners. It's the exact same thing over there, only it's Islam. So it's militarized. We know it's militarized. We see men coming out on the streets like the Muslim Brotherhood. It's not Freedom Dad telling you this. It's them doing it. They're the ones doing it. They're the ones coming out masked up, walking right by the police, when on the other reverse side of that, the police are running old men over with batons, handcuffing 73-year-old women and beating men, and yeah, we've seen some bad stuff happen by the police in England, and yeah, I've been there with the police in Scotland, where they brought the Green Brigade in when they knew the Union Burrs were there, because the Green Brigade were going to the counter demo, obviously, and the Union Burrs were in with the right wing, and they brought them right by. There was a flashpoint. They had the horses ready for our side, batons right ready to go, cameras were rolling. That's what maybe held them back. If our cameras hadn't been there, I don't know what could have happened, but when the cameras are on, guys, they think twice. Okay, always remember that. When the cameras are rolling, they think twice. Okay? And that's what it's about. You know what I mean? It's holding everybody responsible at a time when things can go so wrong so quick. You know, that's all we're doing. And yeah, so 44 minutes. I'm not rolling too long. Like you say, I've been non-stop. I haven't all day. And, you know, it's just one of them days, you know what I mean? Just get back last night, really late. And then I was out this morning, well, from about 11 onwards, you know, so down the Shankill, because the guys were saying that they were like bullying the women and like letting them go on the road and then film them and then going and knocking their doors saying, right, you're getting done for that time you're on the road, and threatening them about telling them that's what they were going to do, you know what I mean? So the situation was, in some of the situations, they were blocking the road off, and that needed documented. We needed to show, have evidence that, look, they blocked the road off there, they blocked the road off there, you know. And yeah, that's all I know about it. As a citizen journalist, as other members of the community are asking me, it's all quick, you know what I mean? And it's never planned. It's just last minute sort of thing. And yeah, so more coming. I'll keep on documenting what's coming and what's happening in our country, and try and let people understand and show people that we're not far right, we're not racist, you know. It's not about that. We're not stupid, you know, for fuck's sake, we're not stupid, you know. So the government can do and throw whatever they want out there, and all the nonsense, and try and just fucking with the blinkers on and just focus on people who are on the street and forget about all the crime that's gone on and all the horrific things that's happened to their children. They can do all that all they want, but and it is getting to the stage. Like I said, people are saying, you know what? If this is far right, then we'll take it. You know, this is people. So many people have said that to me. They're sick of it. They're absolutely sick of it. And yeah, so guys, I'm done in. I'm going to get a wee bite to eat. I want to give a big shout out to the guys tonight who were around me and supported me and helped me out, and give me get an interview with him. You know what I mean? So, like I say, it's not all down to me. This other guys help me, encourage me, and give me support, you know, and that's what everybody needs in life, you know what I mean? So thank you to all you guys. Thank you to all the guys that came up and said hello to me and shook my hand. And yeah, I really appreciate it. And all I can say is, guys, you know, I'm here for my daughter. I'm not here for anything else but my daughter. And as soon as anybody better comes up and younger ones come up, and, you know, I will take a back seat and maybe do something a bit more relaxing with my YouTube channel, you know what I mean? So and just get out of the fire line for a wee while. But yeah, who knows, you know what I mean? I'm enjoying it. I've always been, I'm making Sparky. I'm always been non-stop. I don't know, not going to say anything about mental health and all that. You know what I mean? I think I'm fine. But, you know, at the end of the day, I've always been non-stop. Anybody that knows me, you know what I mean? Even in the jail, I used to annoy everybody first thing in the morning, you know what I mean? Because I'm always up at the crack of dawn. And so I've got the energy. For some reason, I've got the energy to do it. And yeah, I am enjoying it. I am enjoying it. There is some difficult times. There is some very stressful times. And you've just got to trust yourself and, you know, believe in yourself and know who you are. And if it's your time, it's your time. You know, that's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? But I need to go, guys. Thanks for all the love. 133 is on. 99 thumbs up. Really appreciate it. I haven't got all the best, Freedom Dad. Thanks, Baxter, Rizzler, Paul McCone, No Rats, Sean. Thanks for all the love as well and the lives, Mick, Gary. You know, thanks for everything you're doing to support the channel. And yeah, we've hit over 601 videos. At 601 videos, this will be 602. And yeah, over 10,000 subs, you know. Didn't see that coming. But yeah, we'll just go with it and we'll see where it goes. And we'll keep remembering to support everybody else, you know what I mean? All the other good YouTubers out there, Richard, Dino, Bean, Paz, Gobster, you know, no risk, no reward. Keep forgetting about him. A really good guy. So no risk, no reward. I don't know him, so you know what I mean. But he does. I like his style. He's good. You know what I mean. And he brings really relevant stuff. And Niall in the south, you know what I mean, as well. and all the rest of the boys. That you all know who's our British Slaughterer, you know what I mean, British Lee Patriot. I hate doing this because I always forget somebody, you know what I mean? And Paul Thorpe, of course, and Martucci. You know, I don't feel like I need to shout Martucci, you know what I mean? For fuck's sake, you know, he's mainstream now, you know? But yeah, support everybody, guys. All the TikTokers, you know, if you're watching TikToker at TikTok and they're bringing you stuff from a demo or they're live and stuff, give them a follow because you might never see them again. So follow them, you know, give them some love, send them some love, and just this is what we got to do. Support anybody that's putting their neck out there to bring you the stuff that the mainstream media are trying to hide from you. Okay, and remember this: there's nobody over here far right. Right? These guys are not far right and they're not racist. They've just had enough. Yeah, they're scared, you know, and we're not going to wait for grooming gangs. We're not going to wait for 1, 2, 3 kids. We're not going to wait for anything horrific to happen like Southport. Ballymena and the other wee things have happened in the Woodvale or, you know, that's enough. That's what they're saying. That's enough. No more. Not even one single girl. That's what they're saying in Northern Ireland, and that's why they're coming out in the streets. So I'm Freedom Dad, and as always, God bless every single one of you.